Do you have proof of that?
Hello, I'm John Kraft. It's Kirk Allen. We're the Edgar County Watchdogs. This video is going to be about the faked outrage that McGuire has been displaying the last several weeks, and the attempt of McGuire, Burt, and Wozniak to boycott meetings. They came right out and said they were going to boycott meetings. And that's what they're doing. They do anything they can to get their way. They think it's their way or the highway, but they're on the wrong highway. So let's get started. Here's a quote from McGuire that was in a recent Daily Herald article. 3 College of DuPage trustees who boycotted 2 recent meetings say they want to move forward and eliminate obstacles standing in the way of collaboration on the sharply divided 6-person panel. What do you think of that?
Try attending a meeting.
You can't move forward or eliminate obstacles till you attend a meeting.
I mean, what else can you say about that?
I don't know. And then another item was at the last meeting, during the meeting, the letter from the ICCB, which is the Illinois Community College Board, is in charge of, and their responsibility is the Community College Act or law, whatever it is. They gave an opinion that's basically stated, since the statute didn't distinguish between why a chairman was absent, whether it be sickness, family emergency, meeting, or resigned. Since there was no distinction, any reason the chairman is absent means the vice chairman is now the chairman until the chairman either comes back or the end of the term. So McGuire's comment to the Herald, she said, since it includes a disclaimer that reads, "This does not constitute legal advice or legal opinion," then it's not a definitive answer.
What definitive answer does she have?
I don't think she has one.
I mean, they're one of the controlling agencies, and thought they made it pretty clear in the letter.
Yeah.
Now, wait a minute. She said what? There's no legal advice or legal opinion?
They've been given legal advice. Their legal advisor.
Appointed by the board legal counsel, yet they refuse to accept the legal opinion and advice of counsel. So the state intervenes and says, yes, she's the chairman, and so now she still insists that that's not a definitive answer.
Correct. Funny how that works.
Wow.
And now on the search committee, she wants to restart the search committee for a new college president. Apparently she doesn't like something that's going on there. However, they were all given the opportunity to provide their input to the committee, and guess what happened?
She didn't give any input.
No. Well, she gave a list of
desirable characteristics.
And Burt said her work commitments prevented her from participating.
Well, sometimes there comes a time when your work prevents you to do your duly elected duties. It's time to get rid of one or the other. You were elected to do a job. You chose to take that seat. Maybe it's time you just go ahead and resign a seat and let somebody do it that's going to do their job.
Concentrate on your work.
Please.
Please. Okay, what about the empty trustee seat?
McGuire, Burt, and Wozniak have failed to participate in the selection process of a replacement trustee, and by doing so have infringed on the right of fellow board members to participate in that selection process.
Yes, how can they expect anybody to select a trustee when they fail to participate? So what they're doing is that since they don't want to participate, they're taking away the rights of the other elected officials to participate.
Yeah, and I think we addressed that in some of the criminal code when it comes to official misconduct.
Yeah, I've got that right here. Speaking of the criminal code. you know, what they're doing is, it's considered a class 3 felony for each offender. It's called intimidation. It's in the Illinois Criminal Code. And it says, any person commits intimidation when, with the intent to cause another person to perform or omit the performance of any act, communicates to another directly or indirectly by any means a threat to perform without lawful authority any of the following acts. Take action as a public official against anyone or anything, or withhold official action or cause such action or withholding.
So by refusing to come to the meeting, they're withholding their action, which is in turn withholding the other ones that did show up from their ability to appoint a trustee.
And they're withholding action from contractors, ICCB on approving new instructions, and employees. They're withholding action. Oh, the other one. Another intimidation is bringing about or continue a strike, boycott, or other collective action.
And I think what the Herald said that the quote was that they will continue to boycott until they get what they want.
Yeah, or other collective action. They all three. I understand they sent a letter to the president saying they're not going to attend until they have an organizational meeting. Well, that's intimidation.
That's not what the law says they're supposed to do either.
Okay, Chicago Tribune quoted quote on the $2,500 payment to a moderator for the search committee forums. McGuire said she was outraged by the payment. Even though she's repeatedly criticized recent board decisions, said the decision to hire Kavanaugh was an example of questionable spending and patronage hiring.
Well, the board didn't do the hiring. It was the search committee that hired a contractor, and wasn't it the contractor that hired him?
It don't matter. Something happened, and she didn't get to say yes or no, so that's all that matters.
Wow.
She further quoted as saying, not only was there no transparency in this decision, one has to wonder why the Vice President of Marketing and External Relations and a staff of PR professionals on campus didn't utilize, their own staff weren't utilized to save taxpayer money.
Can you say hypocrite? You know, we asked very similar questions about PR back in January. Do you remember that? Spent over about $300,000, if I recall, in the first month and a half on PR, outside PR firms. Bert hired them independently of anybody else. McGuire never even knew they were hired.
They were hired before any board decision.
Correct. It was done in secret, and it wasn't until, pursued, if I recall, that was one of the claims in our lawsuit for some of those invoices. And finally it comes out, they're hiring PR firms when they've got PR people right there in-house. What was it she said? They have staff PR professionals on campus.
Yeah, where was the outrage earlier this year when he spent close to $400,000 on PR right prior to the election?
That's just fake
that
outrage.
Failed because the other trustees didn't get elected. That failed.
It's fake outrage. That's all it is.
Fake outrage. Where's the outrage on the whining and dining of the trustees, especially prior to the severance package, the golden parachute?
Oh, not just the trustees. Legal counsel and their spouse, we've recently found out.
Whining and dining, the legal counsel and the spouse. That's right.
And the attorney was so nice to say, "Oh, thank you for Dr. Bruder's, kind generosity." It wasn't Dr. Bruder's generosity; it was the taxpayers that paid for it.
Yeah, where was the outrage on the Christmas presents given to trustees in violation of the law?
Thousands of dollars of steaks given to the senior administration staff.
And they thank Bruder for that.
Right, the taxpayers.
It was given to the trustees too.
Right.
They thank Bruder for that when the taxpayers actually paid for it. They should send a thank you letter to all the taxpayers.
Yep. Well, they can say what they want about Hamilton, but when she found out what happened and what took place was wrong, she did cut a check to make it right.
Yes, she did. Next, on the question of not being able to compromise on the agendas, here's McGuire. This is dirty politics at its worst. The one that coordinated a boycott and refused to show up to a meeting. Mazzocchi has no interest in civility or bringing the board together. How can you bring the board together that won't show up? Man. And she probably thinks she's right.
What rock has she been living under?
Does she know everybody's laughing at her?
Oh, gosh.
The dirty politics being played by those refusing to attend the meetings, loss of civility, failing to bring the board together, it's all of the boycotting trustees' own choosing.
Absolutely.
They are doing it. And
Absolutely.
they're really making a mockery of the College of DuPage at the same time.
And let's not forget what was disclosed at the last meeting. There was insinuation by someone defending McGuire that she didn't trust those records, reflecting that they weren't cooperating. Well, those records are going to be made public.
Well, she didn't want the records after she found out there was records.
Right, that's right. She didn't want them exposed. She wasn't going to accept them because she didn't know that was really Diane's emails.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
What else would? Okay, here you can have Wozniak's quote.
The board, now the three of them are together, right?
Yeah.
Burt, McGuire, and Wozniak are all standing firm together.
Firm on the fact they have an agenda that they publish, and nothing else but that agenda is supposed to be talked about.
So it's their restricted agenda, right?
Restricted, yes.
All right. Quote, Joseph Wozniak. The board, remember he's the guy who said can't put three sentences together?
Yeah, somebody probably wrote this and misread it.
The board needs to have a meeting with an unrestricted agenda without any type of interference and select a chairperson who can unite all the trustees so we can get down to business, Wozniak said in a statement.
And who does he suppose is going to unite those trustees?
That would be McGuire. They want McGuire to be the chair. But he wants an unrestricted agenda. The other two want a restricted agenda. So which is it?
I don't know, but if McGuire becomes the chair, everybody's going to end up getting tanked before they come to the meeting like they used to. Only this time they'll pay for it out of their own pocket. That would be the only way they could suffer through one of them meetings.
Oh, wow.
Okay, McGuire said in a written statement later that Mazaki's... Let me read this word for word.
Oh, I can't. You can't make this stuff up. This is just...
Deanne Mazaki's attempt to interfere with a legally organized special meeting is not only lacking civility, but is disrespectful to the trustees who called the meeting. McGuire's a blooming idiot. How can she calls the people that show up to the meeting that's been disrespectful?
She actually said this stuff. This is her quotes.
She put it in writing. That's a statement she issued. A written statement she issued. She's been issuing a lot of those, but
my gosh,
we're not privy to them because she knows what we'll do with them.
She doesn't share them with us, but the media keeps publishing them. I still can't believe she actually says these things when you look at the history. It's just unbelievable.
That's it for the three boycotting trustees.
We'll see you next week at the next meeting.
Yeah, we'll be up there.
They called another meeting. We'll see you then. Thank you.